Hi, and welcome to the Design Find podcast, a space where women are interviewed and in conversation to discuss the highs, lows, and everything in between about being a woman in design. The Design Find has new episodes every Monday, so make sure you come back every week. You can find more on the Design Find podcast Instagram. Hope you enjoy this episode. Hi, and welcome to the Design Find the podcast. Today we have Lina, and she is going to be sharing her story with us. So welcome, Lina.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for welcoming me here in your podcast.
Of course. So firstly, can you tell the listeners about yourself, your journey, and how you got into the design field?
Okay, so I've been in the design field for almost 6 years or so. I've always wanted to go into the design field since I was like 14, 15 years old. I used to draw a lot as a little girl, and then it kind of just grew with me the the love of process of the designing of drawing. I used to draw a lot when I was a little kid, and then that kind of developed of me wanting to go into architecture and design buildings and design spaces where people can enjoy themselves, people can spend their time. I started designing at first houses as a little kid. I started designing my dream house. I started designing my school how I wanted it to be, and then so on. I finally decided that I want to study architecture, and then I went to the architecture faculty in Tushin University in Syria.
What big takeaways did you get from studying architecture at school?
Can you repeat that, please?
What takeaways did you have from studying architecture at university?
What do you mean takeaways?
Like, what did you learn from that?
Oh, okay. I learned teamwork. You will learn a lot about teamwork and architecture because most of the projects are team-based. I learned a lot about design techniques. How do you start a design from the beginnings of it and the process until the finishing, and how you present your design in a way that you kind of convince the opposite person, either a client or a teacher or a professor. Present your design in a way that they would like it. I also learned about architecture more deeply. The technologies that's used, the form of sustainability in architecture. I learned about the forms of design. You go inside about the ways, the shapes, and the 2D and the 3D, and how you use those forms in the design process. It's a very interesting point of view. Kind of gives you a new perspectives in design.
So what is your favorite thing about being an architect?
I would say it's my favorite part about being an architect is the ability to create designs from scratch. It's something that's in your head that nobody knows about. It's the way that you think and the shapes that you form that are completely your ideas and completely from scratch. You turn them into ideas on paper, and what's even better when you see them in reality. This is a great feeling.
So going off of that great feeling in when you do architecture, what are some of your best experiences in the field? Have you worked for any cool people? Have you done any insightful projects? What type of things could you share with us?
One of the best moments in architecture is when you see your ideas, especially if they are new in the team or new in the company, when they get accepted. So when you pitch an idea that is new and that is out of the box and people really like it. I've started working for this company here in Abu Dhabi, and it's mainly they work in kitchens and wardrobes. So I've liked the idea that I could pitch my ideas and the design of some cabinets and the design of some materials. And when you see them, the acceptance, and you see the cheering of the new ideas, that gives you a very good feeling. Even when I was working in Syria and I worked with a remote team, they were designing a magazine. I don't know if I mentioned before, but I also did some part-time graphic designing. So when you pitch an idea about a specific design theme or a specific type of color schemes and they're not used to it before, and you see acceptance in it, that feels really good.
So you mentioned being a graphic designer for some time. What can you say was different about being a graphic designer versus being an architect? And like what did you like more about being an architect?
Both careers as an architect or a graphic designer was very fun, and they all involved the design process. So even though they're very different, they are similar in the design process. As an architect, you work with more complex information. You work with more complex teams and companies and contractors, which has its ups and downs. You have to work with people that may accept or not parts, especially for the contractors might not always accept the design that you do because you have some regulations that you have to go through. That part is not in the graphic design field. You have more freedom in work. You have more flexibility, especially because it's a new field overall. They're always new. There are always freedom in everything you do, which is also very fun. So I would say they are both good as a career, but I will always see myself as an architect eventually.
So next, what have you done in the architecture field? Like, where are you working right now? Can you talk about the firm you're working for, or just what you're doing professionally right now in the architecture field?
I've recently moved here to Abu Dhabi, like I've said before. So I've been working here for a company called Verona Trading. It specializes in kitchens and kitchen cabinets and wardrobes. So it's technically more of an interior design field. I've been working with them alongside, I'm sorry, under the supervision of my manager. I'm very interested in the material that they're using, the designs of different aspects. You know, some people want it modern, some people want it classic. It's a very interesting way. I would say that I'm very enlightened in this job.
And what type of things do you do in this job? Are you making shelving and closets for people building new homes, or for offices, or for stores, or what type?
I would say both. Some clients come here for remodeling their kitchen or their wardrobes. Some are like offices. Some is like tenders. They make the kitchens for the whole buildings. This is type of work that works with other companies. So it's B2C or B2B. That's called business to business. They work with other companies, or B2C as in clients directly. I'm learning about the both. So I'm doing projects here and here, of course, under the supervision of my manager.
So what do you think your style is in terms of design or interior design?
I would like to say that I change a lot of designs because I'm sorry, I changed a lot of styles because I would like to discover myself. What I'm not sure about my favorite style because you know you have to work with them all, so you can pick one at least. Especially as a designer, you don't always get to pick the style that you work with. The client always tries to put their fingerprints on it, so it's totally acceptable. Yani, they would say that they want something classic or something modern. So I try to work with both, so I don't get restricted in my own design.
So when do you think you knew that you wanted to be an architect or interior designer?
I would say about when I was in middle school. I found myself in architecture. I started noticing the buildings. I started noticing the details. I started drawing sketches on my own. So you would say 16, 15.
And have you ever thought about being in another field, or are you really happy that you're in this field?
Yeah, I did think about pursuing a career in mechatronics for a while. I was in a when I finished high school. I was deciding if I wanted to really be an architect or I wanted to go into the mechatronics field. But I eventually went to architecture. I mean, I thought about it a lot and a long time ago, and I decided not to change my desires.
So what are some of your goals for the future in terms of being in this field? Is there a company or a project you want to do or something you want to start for yourself?
I would say both. I would say I wanted of course, from my experiences, I want to learn a lot more. You graduate college or your university with an amount of knowledge that is not enough for your career. You have to build an experience. You have to get to know how to work with other people and the clients and the companies. This is very important. I would say that I want to pursue a career in urban planning.
And how would you say urban planning is different
In
to
an urban
architecture?
planning company. I also think about and it's not very different. It's a field of architecture, but it also involves other engineers as like civils and and a lot of other professions. It's not so different, but it's on a bigger scale, such like cities and zones in a specific city. It's a very nice field of work.
So that's what you would want to be looking forward to in the future?
Perhaps, yes. I would pursue a career in urban planning someday.
So looking at your experience over the past 6 years in the field, what is something you want to have more of in the design field? What is something you think that it's lacking?
I would say experience and experience in working with bigger companies. Bigger companies in the field of architecture or engineering means opportunities with more complex projects, which is something all architects would want to have experience with bigger companies.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any tips for people who are trying to get into the architecture field? Like, is there something that you wish someone told you when you were studying in university or getting your first job?
You should always learn something new. You should always know about the updates that's happening in the design field and architecture. Knowing about a few companies and their work is very helpful, especially if you want to have a job in some companies, like some very important companies that are known. You should learn about their projects. You should learn about the way their job application is, because some jobs you can have internships in them, and you could they could have some requirements, as in design programs, as in some information that you could have before applying for a job. So I would say you should, if you like an architect or a firm, you should see the request of working with this company, and you should always learn architecture programs, designing programs. They are very important for new architects, such as the AutoCAD, such as the 3D Max, Rivet. These are tools for architects, so you can project your idea to anyone in front of you.
Do you use a lot of AutoCAD, or what type of software do you use?
I use AutoCAD mostly. I use 3D Max a lot. It's very helpful. I use the Adobe Suite, as in Photoshop, Illustrator, the others. I use Revit as well, but it's not very required of me, as such as AutoCAD and 3D Max, 3ds Max.
What do you recommend to people who are trying to learn these softwares? Was there a course you did, or you just learned it yourself on YouTube, or how'd you learn?
You can do both. It depends on the person and their if they're self-learners. Some people have capabilities to learn alone. Some people need tutors. It's up to the person and how much they can take by themselves. Some softwares I learned by myself, but others were complex. Like the 3ds Max is complex. I needed someone to teach me. But some people learn themselves. Yani.
This is either personal or in your workspace. What is something that people don't really know about you?
My personality is not as the field of work and the field of design typically requires a person to be with a very strong personality, a very upward and a very tight person. You have to work with workers. You have to work with clients that may be mean, or might say something that maybe gets you offended. You have to not get offended. You have to learn how to deal with these type of situations, even though in your daily life as a person you might not accept someone talking to you like that, or someone being aggressive with you. That types of stuff happens to women, even in not working in the design field, just being in the workplace. So you have to know when you have to act on it as a professional person, and when you actually get to express your annoyance about this stuff.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think your biggest achievement is so far?
My biggest achievement is moving to Abu Dhabi. My life really changed after moving here. I got a lot of opportunities here. I got a lot of changes in my life. I could build a career here that I wasn't able to build in Syria.
And for the future, do you think you're going to stay in Abu Dhabi or move somewhere else?
No, I think I would stay here. I'll stay here. It's a very promising country for work.
What is your best words of wisdom or advice for someone looking to be an architect or interior designer?
I would say that you have to read more, always be up to date with the design trends. You have to always be looking for new designs, looking at the latest designs that major companies are doing. We call it in Arabic the visual nutrition. We have a concept called visual nutrition that you always look for new stuff. You always see what other people are doing, because eventually even the original ideas came from inspiration from all ideas. So you have to always keep up to date and look what people are doing, and have an eye for the details and for the beauty.
So what do you think is the best part about being in your field?
You actually get to be the boss. This is something that's very helpful in work. You have to you can get your ideas and with the help of other engineers, with the help of other tools and people. So that's kind of the best part.
And what do you want to be known for?
I want to be known for my hard work. I try to always represent myself as a hard worker. I try to always I try to be the person that's capable of taking a responsibility.
And so to end, is there anywhere where listeners can find you? Do you have a LinkedIn or an email or a website where people can contact you?
Yeah, I have a LinkedIn. My name on LinkedIn is Lina Chouman.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I enjoyed my time with you.
Hey, I hope you loved this episode. If you did, rate and review on Apple Podcast and Spotify, or send it to people who you would think would be interested in listening in. You can learn more about the guests in the show notes or on the Design Find Instagram. The Design Find podcast is under the Entrepreneurs Network.